Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Meaghan Chitwood Live, powered by BNI. In this episode, we are talking with Kirstin Ahearn with Best Version Media, also known as Greystone Neighbors magazine in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm really excited to talk with her about advertising and print advertising and how that can possibly impact your business, and then also just her BNI experience as well. So let's get started. And you can catch us every Friday at 10 a.m. Central. I come to you live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can search for BNI Alabama or Meaghan Chitwood. And then we have replays on Instagram and LinkedIn. Enough about all of that. Kirstin, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So first, tell us about Greystone magazine.
Yeah, well, I work with the company Best Version Media that you mentioned in the introduction to create these really beautiful hyper-local magazines. We go community by community. We actually do these around the country. And I moved here to Birmingham about 5 years ago, and we didn't have magazines like this in Birmingham. So ironically, I was copywriting for these magazines in Connecticut before moving to Birmingham. And I knew about them. I just didn't think I could ever be involved in them. But it's actually been pretty fun and really interesting. And it's been a great way to represent the communities. We always put a family from the community of every. And it gets people to connect more with their neighbors. It gets them to kind of know what's going on in the community. It becomes a really fun way to just bring people together. That's really what we do.
So you called it hyper-localizing. Was it hyper-localizing?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So really localizing, because it is localized to just one neighborhood, right?
Right.
And what is kind of the thought process behind that?
Right. So this company, Best Version Media, they realized everyone was felt like we were talking about beforehand. Felt like all these print magazines had to go big. They had to get big numbers. They had to get big. They had to go online. They had to have a digital presence. And our company, Best Version Media, said, we're forgetting about the community. We're forgetting about a need for what's going on down the street from you. So they went super hyper local. So they do these magazines literally neighborhood by neighborhood. They go to 100% of homeowners, so that if I am if I'm like a roofer or a flooring company, I'm talking to decision makers. I'm talking to people who actually want to buy my services. They're not renters who can't make those decisions. So it ends up being very, very effective for the sponsors, for the advertisers in the magazine. And then when the people receive the magazine in the mail, they know this is about where I live. So they want to open it up. It makes them want to read it. They may know the families on the cover and say, hey, why are these people on the cover? And what's their story? So they'll start looking at it and then opening it, and then they see everything in there is contributed by the people who live in the community. So, and we do say it is things people would share on Facebook or on social media, but because it's print, you have a longer format, so you can tell a more compelling story, you can share more photos, and it's more relaxing for people to be in their homes looking at, hey, what's going on? And they spend more time with the magazine. Online, you skim through everything so fast, and you try to get through everything quickly. When you're looking at a magazine, you've got the luxury of being comfortable and sharing it and talking about it. And then you do talk about it with other people in the community, and you talk about the person on the cover, the family on the cover ends up being a little celebrity for the month. Yeah. So it ends up just being all fun. It's really, really a fun way to celebrate what's going on.
What is the content? So the articles inside you mentioned are about the families. Is it?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit. Give me an example of what an article would be like.
Right. And that's kind of another thing that's fun about the magazine is every month it's a little different because we don't know what people will send us. But we have families send us stories about, they do send stories about their businesses because a lot of our communities, communities that we target tend to be people who are very engaged in the community, and a lot of them are business owners. So they will share business news, if they have a new location, if they've expanded, if they have new owners or things like that. And then they'll share a lot of nonprofit news if they're doing fundraising, if they're doing special events to benefit different associations or organizations. And then they'll share pet news. A lot of times they like to send in pictures of their pets. They like to send in vacation photos. And a lot of times teenagers like to contribute things, which I love. We've had people send in. One teenager in Greystone learned about jiu-jitsu, so she wanted to write about that experience. And another teenager was just thinking about, hey, we are as teenagers during the time of COVID, and she wrote a story talking to some of her peers about, hey, what's everyone doing to try to be as normal of a teenager as you can with all this craziness going on. So it becomes a really fun outlet for them. One of my favorite articles is actually in this month. We had a terrible, terrible tornado came through the Greystone community in March. And there was a 92-year-old woman who was in her bathroom seeking shelter. And afterwards came out, her whole roof, everything had collapsed in. She was totally fine. Everything collapsed in. And after sort of realizing what happened and recollecting all your thoughts, she realized she couldn't find her wedding album. So they put a call out to the community, and all the rescue people who were doing cleanup and all that, they were on the lookout for this album, and they couldn't find it. Finally, they did find it within the rubble of her own home. It was just such a mess. They finally found it, and it was perfectly preserved, untouched.
Oh my gosh.
So I know. So it was such a great story talking about how they came together for this resident, and how when they found it, just how happy she was. So she shared some memories of the photos, and we actually reprinted some of the photos from the album.
That's amazing.
It was really great. And I said, you could never find that story. It's just so localized that you wouldn't find it in a larger magazine. And then it's so long that you wouldn't find it online,
Yes.
And so this is, again, where the community magazine fits in. And also, she may not have been comfortable sharing this story. This 92-year-old woman may not have been comfortable sharing it with the world, but she really wanted to share it with the neighbors because they really helped her. So there's that space too. They're not thinking somebody in China is going to see this story. People I don't know are going to suddenly know about me, and they want that level of privacy. So here they are with this opportunity to share that.
So you really are creating community within the publication that you do as well. So it's even just beyond, selling advertising, right, and having sponsors and all of that. It is really focused on creating community.
Yeah, and the content is the whole thing. It's the whole purpose of what we do. And it helps sponsors because people know this is the content about my community. So they will open that magazine. Their message will get seen. And everything we do in the magazine elevates all the other marketing any of our sponsors might be doing. And we had an example last month where we have a pest control company, and someone saw them in the magazine and then saw, when you see things and then all of a sudden you see. So they saw it 3 times and they said, 3 times I've seen your company and I need a new pest company and I'm calling you and this is why.
That's great.
Their billboard, their trucks, their radio ads, everything else they're doing, it stands out more for the people who've already seen you in the magazine. You become more familiar to them, and they have a level of trust that they've built up with you from being in the magazine.
Yeah. Well, and what you mentioned too is diversification of your marketing efforts is really important as well. Really ensuring that you've got a lot of types of marketing going on. Talk a little bit about, especially print advertising, because some might think print advertising is actually dead, but in fact, it's not. Think we might have lost Kirstin. One of the things I do find interesting, she and I were talking a little bit earlier about how we ultimately print is still something that is really, really available. And I was sharing with her as well that in our household, every single time we do get one of these magazines, we do sit down and look through it. We glance through it, and we actually work through it completely. So it is really interesting. And I was also sharing with her that I use a CRM, a specific CRM that is obviously they're online, they're promoting email marketing and text message marketing. And just last week, I received a print magazine from them. And I thought to myself, wow, this is crazy that I'm receiving a print magazine. But sure enough, I've kept it around. I haven't had a chance to sit down and read through it yet. But that is one of the things I plan on doing with my cup of coffee this weekend, is to sit down and to really work through that. So it's very, very interesting that print media is still one of those things that is available. I also love the fact that she is bringing together community as well, and each community has their own particular magazine, which is really interesting. Interesting also. So I think we have Kirstin back now. I was just chatting about how we were talking about how I received a print magazine from my CRM company, and how there is still a place for print, and then also using just all the different types of marketing to really get your name out about your business. Tell us a little bit about how print is here still to stay.
Right. Well, I'd like to talk to people about that, because there is an instinct that, I do everything now. Well, the entire world is doing everything digitally. That's nothing new, but there's so much clutter there now that you're really competing with a lot of different, you don't have that space to yourself. And then also it gets very complicated. Facebook changes the rules all the time. So print, there really is still a need for print. And I do like to tell people, 87% of small businesses pay for advertising. That they look at that's still a huge marketing tactic for them to build their business and to keep their top of mind, keep their brand top of mind. And people don't always make a decision the same day. They're usually thinking about things like if they want to replace the floors or the carpet in their home. It's not something they think about and then do the next week. Yes. They really think about this a long time. So if you're a flooring company in the magazine every month, it gets them thinking, I do need new floors, and then the next month they'll see it. I'll go, I'm going to go talk to them, or I'm going to go look at them online, or I'm going to go, and then eventually they've made the decision. Okay, the time is right. I've got the need. I trust this company because they've been in my home every month for the 8 months, and now I'm going to go ahead and be able to have a relationship with them and make a purchase with them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I do absolutely love is if you want to get homeowners in the Greystone community, it's like a no-brainer, right? I mean, It's just, we always say be specific, right? Ask what you actually want, because you'll probably get it. Right. And this is one that is, because it's the Greystone community.
Right. And people will say to me, everyone knows me. I've been here forever. Well, or they'll say, I do landscaping work in Greystone. Everyone sees my truck. And I say, well, first of all, you have no idea how big Greystone is. Yeah, it's massive. And I don't know if I live on this side of Greystone, if you're on this side of Greystone. But the other thing is there's a turnover in every community across the country. There's turnover. There's new people coming in, and they don't necessarily know you, and they are brands that other people use and that they can trust. And you see that on Facebook a lot, where they're saying, hey, can anyone recommend a dentist? Well, you're still going to get 9 or 10 recommendations from people for a dentist. But if they also see you in the neighborhood magazine, then they're like, oh, people have recommended them. And I'm going to try them now because they recommended them online and I see them in my magazine. That double touch, that double opportunity to connect with people.
Yeah.
Well, so if Greystone, and that's what I say. Sorry, that's what I say is that if Greystone is an important market, if that's where you want to do business, then this is, just like you said, this is the best way to reach them, to get into their homes every single month.
Absolutely. And the other one that one of my pet peeves is hearing like everybody knows me. I've been the everybody knows me person, but I've also been the everybody knows me, but I'm still not getting any business person as well.
Right.
There is this whole like everybody knows me, and oh, by the way, I need to give them ideas, because the other thing is you've got this beautiful glossy. I mean, if you are a painter, you could put in like the latest paint colors in a beautiful room that you just got done painting. And it's like, not only do I need a painter because I don't, but I want that. Like, I want that is in the magazine.
Exactly. It's such a
another
great way to showcase everything. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Because sometimes people need to know, like, what do I even want? I mean, we haven't painted our house because we literally can't agree on what it is. But if I saw a picture in an advertisement that we both could agree on, now, game on, but we're stuck right this moment. So I think there's also more to it than just knowing I need a painter as well. And that's a huge opportunity for people.
Right. And we have had we've had designers who are sponsors of the magazine. One of them, Sherry Corey, just went out and did a mini makeover for a home in Greystone, and we documented the process of that. So people saw what that's like and how different small changes can be. So, and then there have been other families where they've done kitchen renovations, and they love to show the before and after. And then they will talk about the vendors they used and the process they went through, and it's really neat. Everyone has those different stories and those different things that they love to share. But you're right, that gives other people, other homeowners, ideas on what's on what they can do with their own home,
what's available.
Yep.
So let's talk about your BNI experience, because you mentioned that you just moved to Birmingham, right?
Yes.
And you started the magazine from scratch. So what was it like getting it going before you found BNI and before you? Yeah.
Right. So there were a couple of things. When I talked to this magazine company, I kind of laughed and said, "Why would you want me to do this in a community where I literally don't know anyone?" And they said, that doesn't matter. You can meet people. You can go out and talk to people, because even if I grew up here, I'm only still going to know a finite number of people, and I still need to meet other people. So I said, so we went through the training, and I felt very comfortable in the way they managed the magazines, and that I could maybe do this. So the first thing I did was talk to my realtor who sold us our house, who I knew lived in Greystone.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? How can I meet people? And the first thing he said to me was, I can introduce you to 32 business owners tomorrow. Come to my meeting. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I went to his meeting, and it was the BNI meeting. And I was just like, this is awesome. And I had been familiar with BNI, but in my other roles and positions, it would have benefited me, but I just didn't go down that road.
Yeah, you weren't in a sales role, right?
I wasn't, right. Yeah. So in this, I just thought this is perfect. But you mentioned earlier the VCP model, the visibility, the credibility, and the profitability. And I didn't have any of those when I started this, and I needed all of those. And when I was in that room, I was like, these people are helping each other. They're talking about their own businesses, but more importantly, they're talking about what they do for other members. So that I said, that's what I wanted. Now, I did say to them, I remember talking to Amos Mitchum and saying, am I a valuable member to you? Because again, I don't know anybody, so I can't be recommending, referring people to you off the bat. And he was so great. And he has such a mentoring mentality because he's been in BNI for so long. And he said, we don't expect that next week or next month. We expect you to develop as a BNI member. And it really was not long because of the nature of my business, talking to so many business owners and residents. It was not long before I could contribute to the BNI chapter and start giving referrals. And that's just been to me very rewarding, because nobody wants to just be a taker. Value beyond that. So BNI gives you so much opportunity to do that.
Well, and I think it is also key, right? When somebody moves into a town, for the existing BNI folks watching this, when someone does move into town, sometimes people go, well, you don't really know anybody, so what value are you going to bring? But it is important to look at the business that you're in, right? Had, for your business to be successful, you had to talk to a lot of people about advertising specifically. So like for you to be successful, you were going to have to do the activity that would lead to referrals, which is just basically talking to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And listening. What I always found about BNI is, in my opinion, it makes you a really good listener. So we listen to everybody's presentations every week. We listen to a 10-minute presentation every week. We listen to all the referrals, and people share a ton of information, whether they realize it or not. And there's so many opportunities for people to help each other. And I find this too when I'm talking to potential sponsors of the magazine, where they will start talking about, oh, my credit card machine just really kills me. So we have a credit card processing company in our chapter. So connect them. I love doing that. And so just knowing how to listen for those cues and the right words to hear, then you end up being far more helpful and being able to get more referrals for people.
Well, and that is one of the things that I found really interesting when you and I had a one-to-one way back was how you listen. I think you listen differently than other people listen, because you shared with me one of the things we like to do, right, is be specific in BNI. And you mentioned sometimes people are specific and I go, oh, I need to meet that person too. And so you go and say, hey, if you get a chance to meet that person, I would like to meet them as well, right? So talk a little bit more about that. And what is your thought process as you're listening?
I know sometimes I say I go to BNI for stealth information. I'm trying to find out what everyone's doing. But yes, you will find there's a lot of crossover where people are looking for someone for a different purpose than I'm looking for them. And not that we all want to be lined up and going after the same people, but it's a great way for if I connect with them first, I'm going to mention you, and vice versa. It ends up being very interesting. Or if people will share, so and so is expanding. Like if the realtors have tons of great information, so they may say, this business just moved into. I just helped them move into a larger business.
Yeah.
They're expanding. They need more business. They need more volume. So that's an opportunity to talk with them. And then the magazine too. Ironically, I've heard people mention, oh, I really want to look. There was a pet boarding business, and I said, they're on the cover of my magazine this month. So I said, I don't know a ton about the business, but here's a copy of the magazine. They're wonderful people. You can use that as a way to hopefully connect with them. And I think that worked out for them. So that was that was great too. So just listening is you do pick up a ton. And also I have to laugh because our BNI chapter meets downtown Birmingham, and I'm strategically facing the street because you do see a lot of businesses drive by. Like, this is another opportunity for me to be like, oh, I don't know that business.
Right.
So you get that. I'm a little bit away from my area where the magazine goes, but I know there's a lot of businesses located there who want to service my community. So that ends up just being a little bonus.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it is a huge wall of windows.
Yeah.
If you got a good eye. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So what for you has been the best part of being a BNI member?
Well, I do think a lot of it is that the visibility, and just like we said, the visibility, building credibility, and just building a network. And it's a network of value. There's all people who have that same giver's mentality, where they come to this meeting every week. They generally do want to know what you do as a business and how they can help you. And naturally within any BNI, it's easier. You end up having referral partners that are very natural and very easy. But then there's people in your chapter where now that you're learning about them and you know about their business, it may not seem to be so natural, but you know so much about them that you'll hear ways that you can help them with your networks, with your family and your friends and your relatives and your community. So it ends up just expanding everybody and helping everybody in the room. So that's been really fun. But in BNI we always talk about working on your business. Mm-hmm. So every day we're working in our business. We have a million things to do. We're running around. We're trying to get everything done. We're meeting deadlines. We're following up on leads and all that. And then we forget about the bigger picture sometimes. Mm-hmm. So BNI makes you stop and think about the bigger picture. So that's really been what I really like. And every week we're supposed to do a series of things, the power of one, every single week of going to the meetings, doing a one-to-one where you really get to know a member, trying to give one referral every single week at least. And then the CEUs. And the CEUs I really love because BNI has such a wealth of information available to any BNI member. And there's launched about how to grow your business from 200,000 to 10 million.
Yes.
Or I'm like, that's like grad school. It's just a way to, it's mentoring, it's coaching that you're getting all the time and part of just being a member. So there's a lot I really love about BNI. It's hard to say one thing, but it's just the more you're really working BNI, the more you realize just what a treasure it is.
Yeah. Oh, so for someone who might be considering visiting a chapter, what would you say to them?
I would say go with the intent of really listening to what's happening in that room and really observing what's happening in that room. I don't know if you can.
Yeah. Oh, we might have lost her again. But it is interesting when you come in, and what I love about Kirstin is she like listens between the lines and reads between the lines, but really listening and just observing what exactly is going on, and then ask a million questions. If you come and visit, just definitely ask a million questions about what we're doing and how it all works and all those kinds of things as well. So with that, I'm going to thank Kirstin. I'm worried we just had a little bit of internet challenges. Next week, you think I'm high energy. Everybody thinks I'm high energy. You have no idea. Cameron Starnes with Step 3 Consulting is going to be on the show next week. She is electrifying. And she and I will probably talk about all the things I learned from going through my DISC profile. She just worked with me through that as well. So with that, look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks so much for watching.